Hello, everybody. Welcome to Peggy's Recovery Corner. We have a very special guest today here. His name is Day. Thank you for being on here, Day.
Thank you. It's an honor.
I mean, pronounce your full name.
Devoyer se face white.
Day's an old friend. I've known him pretty much almost my whole entire sobriety. Um, usually when we talk about, this is a recovery podcast, so we talk about all things recovery or lack thereof, depending on how you roll or who you is. But we've been waiting for this day for a long time.
Yes, the powers that be.
The powers that be. It's good to have you here today. So I wanted to delve into your past. That's usually what we do. We go way into your past, see where you were born, where you were raised, what your upbringing was like, get into some other stuff, and the nitty gritty, the drug use, the alcoholism, all that stuff, and then we get into the recovery. So who is Day? Where were you born?
I was born in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
I'm Portuguese and Ethiopian.
Okay. You speak
father,
Portuguese?
a little.
Okay.
Bom dia.
Okay.
Como vai?
Mhm.
Uh, nice upbringing. My mother was the prettiest daughter in the family. My grandparents, they really cherished her.
Mhm.
And the biggest gift which I've shared to you that I received was that my mother overdosed and died on Christmas Day when I was 10.
Mhm.
So lots of PTSD, carrying lots of how we hold on to things for years.
Right.
For years. And my grandparents, they got me into the entertainment business
Okay.
because my mother always wanted that.
And how old were you when that happened?
She died at 10, so that was at like 11.
Did you have siblings?
I have two half brothers and one half sister.
Okay. Because you're basically like, you have half brothers and sisters, no pure blooded brothers and sisters. 10 years old, how did your grandparents get you into the entertainment business? How'd that happen?
Well, the thing was, I'd like to share with you real quick. It's so devastating for a child at that age.
Mm-hmm.
When I reflect in hindsight, when I look back on it, at that time, I just remember I'm staying on point. I just remembered that I waited for her because we were at my grandparents' house.
Okay.
And I waited, Pej, and I waited because she said, "I'm going to be back, baby. I'll see you Christmas. I'll see you."
Mm-hmm.
We all had Christmas there. And I sat in that window and I waited and I waited. And I fell asleep. And I just woke up to my grandmother, like going to the house, through the house crying. And she was like, "Rose is gone. Rose is gone. My baby Rosie is gone."
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I just kind of was shocked because we were so close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I smoked weed the first time with my mother.
Well, you did.
Oh, can I curse?
Yes, of course.
I was fucked up. Kidding.
Right.
We just had good times, and a lot of the family members say that I'm a lot like her. The fact of the matter is that a child. I've also stated that I saw things that a 10-year-old boy is not supposed to see
Mm-hmm.
because I was at my grandparents and I was running over to my mother's, and then it was this back and forth thing. And the grandparents were great because we grew up in an area, View Park and Baldwin Hills. They call it the Black Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
So Norm Nixon lived down the street. Tina Turner lived down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Charles, Debbie Allen, they lived right down the street. So
Okay.
I didn't get, I didn't have there was nothing problematic, for most of my life growing up,
Right.
except for the exception of that. So to answer your question,
Mm-hmm.
they got me into the entertainment business to divert my thinking because all I was doing was going like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and my uncle was a former mayor of Los Angeles. So that type of family, when she passed away,
Mm-hmm.
the family was like together, and I'm like looking up and I'm going, "So my mom died of drugs, and they go, no, 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 no. Oh, so she died of heroin, and no, she died of a heart attack.
They wanted to sweep it under the rug. They didn't want to talk about it. Where was your dad? I'm sorry, but was dad in the picture at all?
No, they had been divorced.
Did you have any relationship with your pops?
Eventually,
Eventually.
I'd see him from time to time. I wasn't really comfortable yet
Mm-hmm.
due to the fact that, first of all, my grandparents, when my mom agreed to marry him, my grandfather, grandpapa, like chased him off the property with a gun one night for some reason. So we became close later on
Mm-hmm.
in life. Yeah.
Okay, so when your parents, would they get you an agent at a young age because they thought that you had certain qualities where you were talented to the point, were you going to acting school or anything like that?
Mm-mm. Um, you want me to tap in on it because I give facts.
Give facts.
Okay. So my mother wanted me to be in the entertainment business. So my
Right.
grandmother, I was riding my bike, Pez, and this lady, I was just riding my bike with a couple of guys.
Right.
This lady goes, "Excuse me," and I went, "Yep." She goes, "What's your name?" I told her my name, and she said, "You have a great smile. Do you want to be a movie star?" I went, "Excuse me?" She says, You'll see what I'm talking about. Here's my card. You give that to your parents and you have them call me."
Wow.
I said, "Okay, that's it." So my grandmother called. I get to set up with the agent, right?
This was an agent?
An agent.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
She just happened to see you.
No, the lady
She
wasn't the agent.
Oh, she linked you up with an agent.
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me. It's going to be corrected.
Mhm.
So she got my grandmother called, got the appointment. I go there and I'm waiting. Now, remember, I was always good in reading
Mhm.
in school. I mean, I could just read. I liked it.
Right.
I still do. Just read, no problem. So I go to the agency and they say, "Come in, you're going to meet her." Their name was the Mary Grady Agency. It was a child agency.
Mhm.
And
You mean for child stars? Right.
child actors.
Child actors.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because I hadn't started yet.
Right. Right.
So neither did I become a star in my eyes.
Mhm.
And so they walked me in, bro. And she's sitting on this throne with like her little midians around.
Yeah.
She had this like big chair. There's like have these things like medieval,
Mhm.
red velvet. And I walk in and I say, "Hello." And she goes, "All right, kid. We're going to do something called a slate." And I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "A slate."
Mhm.
She goes, "You look to me, you say your name, turn to the left, turn to the right, and then you're going to read some sides. Do you know what sides are?" I went,
You're 10
"No."
years old during this time?
"Yeah, 11.
11 years old.
She goes, "Because that's how kids, that's why I say, you see, kids start so young.
Mhm.
You got to learn so much so fast."
Right.
I just watched Judy Garland, that age, dude, you're like. And so anyway, she goes, "These are sides, and I want you to read these sides." I said, "Okay." And she goes, "This other man is going to read the other character, the other part."
Mhm.
So the first time I looked at it like you look at a script,
Right.
and reading, I'm going to just improvise. She said, "Okay, read this." He's going to read that. So let's just say, "God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference." And she goes,
Like, say it now?
That's what I did because I didn't know how to act.
Right.
And so I would just read and then just look up. And then,
repeat it and then say it?
no, that's what you saw. Like if I was on television, that's what you would see. "God grant me the serenity to accept no eye contact," which is very much needed,
Mhm.
with the characters,
Sure.
playing at the chemistry and stuff. I didn't understand any of that. And so I did that like 3 times, dude. And she looks at me and she goes, "Yeah, Okay, kid, good luck. Have a good day. So I walked out. I was walking out, and then I turned around,
Mm.
and I went like this, Pash. I saw her, and I said, "Ma'am, I would just like to thank you for the opportunity for me to meet you,
Mm.
and it's such a pleasure and an honor, and I'm so glad that my grandmother brought me here today. Thank you so much, and God bless you." I walked out. She goes, "Stop." I kissed her hand, by the way, and never took my eyes off of hers. I kissed her hand, by the way,
Mm.
and she said, "Stop." I said, "Yes." And she goes, "You go sit out there, and you guys tell his grandmother to get in here." So my grandmother comes in, and she goes, "Look, your grandson can't act worth beans. I'm going to make an exception and do this for you based on how you are raising him, his manners. Because that's how my grandmother raised me."
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, "I'm going to give you a shot. He must get 1 out of 3 interviews, or we drop him from the agency. Do I make myself clear?" She goes, "Yeah, his mother just passed away. My grandmother passed
Mm-hmm.
away, and I'm raising him the best I can. And,
Mm-hmm.
and these are her wishes." And the agent's like, she's heard a million things. She's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." She goes, "Okay, so we're going to send him out." And I got all 3 interviews back to back. The Jeffersons, Blues Brothers, and Little House on the Little House on the Prairie.
Just
And
like that.
uh-huh. The reason for that pitch is because a child, the devastation from my mother, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't deal with it. I wasn't sent to a psychologist or
Right.
psychiatrist. So what I did was what we do. I'm just gonna smile, and if I can get you to smile, everything's gonna be okay. Even though I'm hurting so much, this little boy from the loss of my mother.
Mm-hmm.
If I can just make you smile, then that'll give me temporary relief, and I can just be happy because you're happy.
Did you know during that time, with everything that they were saying about mom dying from a heart attack, did you know it was drugs at
Oh
that
yeah,
that young of an age? I mean, you smoked weed with her.
yeah. I saw her do heroin.
You saw her do that in front of you, so you knew.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
So when you get these parts, then at that point, did you know what you were in for? I mean, did you realize the magnitude of Hollywood and the film industry and how it works? And like, did you think this is a big deal? I mean, Little House on the Prairie, like everyone watched that during our era. And then on top of that, it's a black kid. Like you never really saw any blacks on Little House on the Prairie, except for those episodes that you were in,
Right.
right?
There's one other person, lady that I highly respect. I won't mention her name.
Right.
I believe she was on there as well. She was. She was. Love you. You know who you
I
are.
think I know who you mean.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's about me now, though.
Mhm. So true. In the Blues Brothers,
Yeah.
you had a major role or just a small role as a kid that was just in a scene.
Okay, that was the first movie that I ever did. And to answer what you said, even though I lived down the street from them, Tina Turner, I just knew they were big.
Right.
That's all I knew.
They were major.
They were to a child. They're just really big.
Yeah.
I didn't see the lights. I mean, I didn't see all that.
Right.
I just knew they were big. So on the Blues Brothers, that was the first film that I ever did. It was a scene, and it's a scene where I go into Ray Charles's shop, and I think it's a guitar or a pawn shop,
Yes.
and Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi are doing a deal with him.
Hmm.
The man is blind,
Yes.
and so I'm reaching up and I'm attempting to steal this guitar.
Right.
And so when I reach for the guitar, you see these bullets go on the wall all around me. Bah, 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 bah. And Ray Charles goes, "Now get out of here."
How many episodes of The Jeffersons were you on?
One guest star.
A guest star.
Yeah. It was a Christmas special.
Awesome.
It was a guest star.
I mean, you got to be in shows. You were amongst legends.
Mm-hmm.
John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd. Sherman Helmsley.
Mm-hmm.
Love Sherman Helmsley.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
He's awesome, right? So, okay, so then after that, what happened? You started getting more parts. You continued to act throughout your adolescence.
Well, when I began to notice the humor and the funny side of it, you mentioned the Blues Brothers. I
Mhm.
remember, you need to have 3 hours of school,
Mm-hmm.
the state,
Right.
and we go on break, and I just knew John Belushi and Dan. I just knew they were big.
Right.
And he goes, "Hey kid, you want to go to lunch with us?" And I was like, "They're big. They're in the movie."
Right.
Okay.
And you're this 11-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid.
11. Yeah, I was 11 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
He was 11. And so he says, "You want to go to lunch with us?" I go, "Yeah." So I was always really little.
Mm-hmm.
And so he put me on his shoulders, and we're walking around, and the tour bus is going by, and they go, "Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that's John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, the Blues Brothers." The people going, ah. I'm just like, okay. So we walk around, and
Mm-hmm.
they show me Jaws, the
What was this at Universal?
Jaws, and the saloons and the ghost towns, and it was just fun, man. And about an hour and a half later, lunch is supposed to be for 45 minutes max.
Mm-hmm.
About an hour and a half later, we come back. I'm on his shoulders. I've had the best time of my life
Right.
around the studios. Friends of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
I get there, and the producer runs up, and the director and the teacher runs up, and she's like, "What happened? Is he okay? Are you okay?" And I
Mm-hmm.
said, she goes, "Well, Mr. Belushi, he's doing school for 3 hours.
Right.
He was supposed to be back."
Oh, you were supposed to be doing school.
Yeah, I was late to go back to class because I was with them.
What was it, like homeschooling that was happening on the set?
They have a teacher with you,
Yeah.
and so you get individualized tutoring,
Yes.
and you just do your work, and you do it for 3 hours.
Yeah. It's not like you're going in a
up.
classroom setting or anything like that. Not a regular school.
It's broken up, and so I meant broken up within the times
Yes.
while you're filming. You go back up. So he brings me back, and they go, "Where has he been? The state. He was supposed to be back in school like an hour and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Is something wrong?" John Belushi goes, "Fuck that school. Fuck that damn school. He learned more with us than he could ever learn in that fucking school.
Mm-hmm.
You hang in there, kid. See ya." Stuff like that. I start to see the comedy in it, but you could have some fun in it, and I wasn't the one
Mm-hmm.
that wanted you to smile.
Ah.
Even though I was in pain, just for a short amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
that pain was taken away.
Right.
So
Now, during that time, obviously, John Belushi had a major drug problem.
okay, I wasn't aware.
You didn't notice nothing because you were young. Like they weren't doing that stuff around you. Were you experimenting with anything like during? I mean, your career's taken off now. You're in your young adolescence, right?
Yep.
Were you fucking around with anything? Like, was there alcohol that you were drinking, or drugs, or just weed, or what were you doing? Anything?
My mother, we're going back and forth. My mother, I was always playing jokes in school,
Right.
and I got suspended. And they called my mother.
Mm-hmm.
My mother came to the school, and she was always very pretty and revealing
Right.
with what she wore because she knew it.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting in the principal's office, the principal was like this to my mom. She's got her legs crossed. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just, yes, he keeps playing these practical jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was like what? Like, he put a roster. He said, fart perfume, stink perfume, stink bombs,
Mm-hmm.
Snapping gum. When you pull the gum out, it snaps the
Yes,
fingers
I
of
remember
somebody.
those.
The smoke stuff.
You could get that stuff in head shops and shit.
Right.
Right.
I go to the magic store on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yes.
They had a famous magic. So
Whoopee cushions and
yes, I had all that. And so he goes, this is just it's just not acceptable. It keeps happening over and over.
Mhm.
My mother like looks at me and goes, "You won't need to worry about this anymore. I know exactly what to do with them."
Mhm.
My mother, you didn't play with my mother in the family.
Right.
That's where I get it from. Laugh and joke, don't play.
Right.
And we get outside to the car, we get in, and she goes, and I'm like this, dude. I didn't know what was going to happen
Mhm.
if she didn't play. She wouldn't hit me, or she would just make you think you're
Yeah,
going
she
to
was
get
gonna
hit.
get. Yeah, you're gonna
I'm sitting in the
get a
car,
whooping.
bro, like this, and she looks over and she goes, "The whoopee cushion, that was good. Yeah, that was good. That was good."
Mhm.
I went.
Yeah.
She goes, "Do you have you ever seen this before?" And she had a joint, and I said, "One of the kids, if you don't smoke it, they'll beat you up after
Mhm.
school." And she goes, "Okay." And then she said, "Open the glove compartment." So I opened the glove compartment, and there was just a bag of weed, and there was three. The rollers
Yes.
used to have the roll. She goes, "Do you like strawberry, chocolate, or vanilla?"
Mhm.
I said, "Strawberry."
Yeah.
So she showed me how to put the paper in and use the roller
Mhm.
and smoke pot. And so when the bad kids came up to jump me to smoke it, or else they came to me and said that, and I said, "Dude, what? I already have my own."
Mhm.
Walked away. I didn't like pot that much after that, though.
Huh.
I had it for guests later on.
Right. So that was your experience with weed, but like growing up, obviously now you're acting throughout your young adulthood. I mean, before that, even.
Hmm.
It's just Hollywood. Like,
Yeah,
it's like, how can you avoid? We going to celebrity parties and things like that, and people are
later
just
on.
getting loaded.
Later on. Later
And
on.
how were you? I mean, remember you from losing your mother, trying to make other people smile,
Hmm.
and the pain within. Did you start to get into heavy drinking or any kind of cocaine?
Okay, so we can fast forward. When I said I got those first three jobs,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
I just kept rolling with that, covering up
Right,
to divert the pain to this game.
right,
And so for years, I just always worked. The stuff that you've seen, I just worked.
right.
I just, in school, when the TA would come in, I was like, leaving early, got a call back, got an interview. Boom. I was always leaving or working out of town, and then my teacher would send the homework back and everything. So it was just this regimen.
Mm-hmm.
Think my grandmother, dude. She was the one. She was like, respect your grandmother. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her, people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she was just always there. She was the one that got up at 5 in the morning when I needed to get ready for work and,
Mm-hmm.
and run my lines with me and stuff. She go, baby, a little bit more energy, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a natural, they said.
Yes, a natural actor.
Yeah, they said I was a natural. The agent, they said he's a natural.
You had become more talented than in the beginning from that one agent that said you didn't know how to act.
Somewhat.
I mean, you were doing a lot of acting. You've been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like I'm saying,
It became like bread and butter.
I didn't get my money until I was 18.
Right.
However, I'm saying I was always like this, anything to cover that up.
Mm-hmm.
So when I worked, I just worked and just put some energy into it. And they said I was good in a natural. It was because I was covering up pain that I didn't want you to see.
Right. Well, it's really interesting. Like you talked about that one agent, you kissed her hand and you're raised by your grandmother and the way that you speak. And the person that I know, especially who I know as a man of recovery, like you're very proper, you're very polite,
Thank
you have
you.
good manners, right?
Thank you.
So to hear grandma come out and like want to basically make you the best version of yourself in your acting career by coming and waking you up early and doing practicing your lines and things like that. I think that's where definitely there was good upbringing, right? Obviously there was a lot of pain, but did you say when did this start getting bad? Like when did you start getting into this stuff?
When you said upbringing, yes, the grandparents, they sent me to prep school and they sent me. On the other hand, at that age, my mother
What age?
she died at 10, so I was at like 9.
Hmm.
And like I said, I saw things you're not supposed to see.
Right,
Grandparents, great house, great life,
right.
great manners. And then my mother's, like we say, hanging out with lower companions to make yourself look
Mm.
good. And so, as a man of integrity today, I can say this.
Mm.
I saw my mother go over to a woman's house because she was going to name her unborn after me.
Hmm.
She knocked on the woman's door at like 2 or 3 in the morning. The lady comes to the door and goes, "Wells, it's a little late. What do you want?" She goes, "Have that bitch of a daughter of yours get out here right now." I remember.
Hearing that.
Oh yeah, her friends were in the car, and I was sitting up. She was in this Cadillac and Eldorado, whatever, and um, she was dating Jim Kelly, that karate guy at the time
Yes.
from Enter the Dragon. Yes, I broke his anonymity. However, he has passed on, and this is to show homage and respect to that man.
Hmm.
So, even though my mom stole his car, so I saw it. I heard it, dude. And the poor lady came out and said, "What's wrong? Why are you waking up?" She goes, "Get over here." My mother did. She said, "Get over here." "What's wrong, Rosie?" She goes, "You're going to name that bastard son after my son?" She goes, "I thought it was out of respect." My mother and her friends took this woman by the neck, put her in the trunk of the car,
Hmm.
and drove around laughing for like an hour or two. So I'm saying, yes, the class and all that, on one side,
Hmm.
the etiquette, and at the same time, this double, triple life kind of.
Sure.
So don't let this Gucci and stuff fool you. I know we're Washington and Crenshaw.
Sure.
So it didn't. It was always just this covering up. To answer your question, to tap in on that, it kept going. It kept going good because I could cover up good. And then they tell me that I'm a good actor.
Hmm.
Never took an acting class. Never in school. I did plays in junior high and stuff. That's about it.
Right. So was it stroking your ego to make you feel like, oh, you know what, I am a badass?
Um, that I'm special in some way
Yes.
as a child.
Hmm.
I'm special in some way. My mother's gone,
Sure.
so I can be special though.
Hmm.
Because it took a long time for
Right.
me psychologically. I mean, I was dialing my mother's phone number and stuff, and it's not answering. And my grandpa's going,
She's
not
gone.
going to answer.
Yeah, she's gone.
So it escalated, kept acting, got good roles,
Right.
or it was going good,
Hmm.
and I didn't even really know how to act. I would just mostly memorize my part,
Right.
and sometimes wouldn't even read the entire script.
Mm.
And so I didn't learn how to act until I got to Die Hard.
Which was how old?
I was late 20s.
Those late 20s?
Mm-hmm.
So we've gone past.
Maybe it was 32.
Really?
Somewhere in
Okay.
there.
So past your adolescence, you weren't, being in the Hollywood scene, obviously in your young adulthood, in your 20s. Was it partying? Were you partying yourself?
Yes. To backtrack, I don't feel comfortable saying back. I did do cocaine. I snorted cocaine.
How old?
That was 17 because it was prom night.
Okay, so you actually were going to a prom in high school. You were going to school and living a normal life, but you're doing acting when parts would come up. Okay, so you did cocaine at 17.
with my brother.
Once?
It started once. Excuse me, that's me.
Oh, sorry. I was like,
It started once. That was my ego. I was stumping it out. It started once, and it was cool. I just remember I didn't want the food, the dinner that they served, and
lost your hunger there, huh?
yeah.
Okay. And then did you continue to do more after that night?
Well, I graduated, and my brothers were very, very smart in school.
Mhm.
My oldest brother would actually, Greg, the mean one, there's a nice one and a mean one, he would pass down the notes because we were all in high school,
Mhm.
10th, 11th, 12th grade.
Right.
And so, like I said, I was going back and forth with my father. Anyway, and so my brother, they set me up with some cocaine with a friend,
Mhm.
a very big, prominent
Mhm.
Hollywood friend of my brother's.
Sure.
And I get some, I get like a half of it. I'm not into war stories, however, because I'm not glamorizing.
Yeah.
It's a pit of hell. It will be. It was for me. So a half would last me like a week. Plus, I got in UCLA.
Okay.
So I'm not saying
You went
that
to UCLA for acting school?
journalism
Journalism.
and theater.
Nice.
And so I got in mostly because of someone in my family
Hmm.
who was a big contributor to the school.
Nice.
And so I'm, a half was last me a week, and then I get a grand. And so it just escalated, and plus the parties and Hollywood,
Hmm.
and I would just party on the weekends.
Okay.
That's what it was. And then and I drank the first time when I was 16 at my grandmother's, a beer.
Hmm.
So cunning, baffling, and powerful. It comes in many ways to get you.
Right.
It could be timing, it could be a situation in our lives.
Hmm.
So um, to get to what you're specifically asking me,
Yes.
I think I feel is that when I got to Die Hard,
Right.
I had kind of been known in Hollywood for partying.
Sure.
It kind of got around because at that time, that was what we did.
Yes.
We snorted cocaine, we
Hmm.
drank.
It was that era.
It's that thing, man.
80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Let's see what some people are saying here. We got Ty.
Karen,
My boy.
Ty, my man, Ty.
Fast out says love Day. Rich Chapman. Oh wow, Day. I haven't seen you in so long. Day's one of the happiest people I have ever met before, most definitely. And Karen says, hey.
Karen.
Mark says, hey gentlemen.
What's
good to
up,
see you.
stranger?
You guys look great. Thank you. Okay, so you get to Die Hard. This is a big deal. Now it's like a major motion picture with, a guy that was like a major star on Moonlighting,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's making this film, and you were co-star?
On Die Hard,
Yes.
I was booked as co-star. Yes.
And at this time, you're known in Hollywood as a partier. Are you good enough to make the film? Obviously, you were because you made the film.
Yeah. Okay. So by that time, Lee Daniels was
Mhm.
managing me at that time.
Right.
Big Papa.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had gone and did Places in the Heart with Sally Fields and Danny Glover, and it was nominated for, might have won 2 Oscars, 2 Academy Awards.
Yes.
The year before.
Mm-hmm.
So Lee knew the casting director, Jackie Birch, and she was, Lee, I'm just looking for this guy, Bruce Willis. They want to kick off his career, and I'm looking for this guy that could be a limo driver and be on like a CB or the phone or something, stereo, like really energetic,
charismatic, animated.
Okay, I'll go with that. charismatic. I'm never. Anyway, that's not a story. Um, uh, uh, okay, so she goes, Lee goes, I got him. I got the guy for you.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, what do you mean you got a guy for? She goes, DeVorier White.
Mm-hmm.
He killed Sally Field's husband in Places in the Heart.
Mhm.
He goes, because that's how Lee is. He goes, darling, it won 2 Academy Awards last year.
Yes.
I've got the guy for you, darling.
Right.
And she goes, okay, so when can I read with him? And Lee's like, have you seen his resume? I just sent it to you.
Hmm.
She goes, he goes straight to producer. And they were friends. And she goes, okay. She saw the resume and she goes, okay. And so I went and read with Bruce and Joel Silver.
Mm-hmm.
Joel Silver is the biggest producer in Hollywood at that time.
Right.
Matrix, Lethal Weapon, on and on. And so I went in and read with them. Mind you, like I said, I had taken a few little acting classes,
Right.
nothing consistent. And so when I went in and read, Bench, I could do eye contact now, though.
Right.
I just did it and had energy to it. I was just day when I read for it.
Sure.
And then I got that, and the ego started to kick in.
Mm.
The pain from the mother went into the ego, which is self-destructive. So I'm glad I'm here today. That I reflected. And so I go to the wardrobe,
Mm-hmm.
and he puts the suit on me or whatever, and he goes, is this okay? And I goes, these shoes, and this is ill-fitting. He goes, well, we don't have time right now. We don't have time.
Right.
Joel's waiting on us. And you don't make Joel Silver wait.
Right.
And I get over to the office. We're sitting there. Everyone pitches in the office like this, waiting for Joel Silver.
Mm-hmm.
And I look and I sit down. And then someone comes out of his office and he goes, fuck you. So everyone's like this, bro. And went in. He took me before the other people because he was starting a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Took me in and goes, how you doing? How you been? And I'll go, good. I'm good. He goes, what do you think about your suit and your shoes? I said, they're absolutely hideous. I said, I wouldn't wear this shit across the street.
Mm.
He looked, smiled, looked at the wardrobe man and said, what the fuck is wrong with you? Get him the stuff you're supposed to get. Why did I even hire you? And Joel will fire you like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it started. And then it was time to do Die Hard. And I said I didn't know the chemistry of acting.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I learned how to act, when I went there.
Mm-hmm.
And the first day of shooting, we were rehearsing. We're going to rehearse.
Mm-hmm.
And the director goes, scene from Die Hard, director goes, action. And I go, so you're a New York cop and you want to get back together with your wife, so why bother to pack, right? He looked at me and he said, do you understand the chemistry of you guys? I go, not really. Because do you understand the singing? I go, kinda. He goes, did you read the script? Not all the way. He looked at me kind of like I was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
John McTiernan, huge director. He shook his head like this. He goes, come here for a second. He's like, put me aside. And he goes, okay, listen very carefully. Okay. And don't he's getting loud and people are
Standing
around the crew, bro. And he goes, listen, he's a New York cop. He's separated from his wife. So he's coming to LA on the hopes to getting back together with her. and he only brought one bag
Mhm.
because that's all in his head that he'll need is one bag. If he rekindles with his wife, everything will be happily ever after. Do you understand? I was such in shock. I could hide it well though, because I was good at hiding anything.
Mhm.
I said, okay. He goes, no, come on, we're gonna run it. I was forced into the era of an actor. So when he said action, I went, so you're a New York cop and you're coming into LA with one bag, so why bother the pack, right?
Mhm.
He goes, you fumbled a little bit, do it again. I said, so you're a New York cop, you're on the hopes of getting back together with your wife, so you brought one bag, so why bother the pack, right? He goes, that's what I want to see. So at that point is when I understood that if I'm going to take this thing serious, I'm going to need to take it like how that man looked at me in my eyes and he said that.
And you did.
Mhm.
So after you made the film, had some other films after that, correct? I remember there was
Mhm.
Trespass and a
Mhm.
few other things. At this point, you're in your 30s.
Late. Because, see, I'm ageless now.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, it's like Dick Clark, the ageless
Oh,
host.
God. I'm
Okay,
still alive.
so look, you and I met. I'm 14 years sober, 14 and a half years sober. I think you're 1 year less than me. Um, this is the way I know Day, right? Like, it's usually like how you presented what had happened. This is what I want to get to now. Awesome career. You've been in some major films and TV shows. I think you were even on Different Strokes, which was like, when I found that out, I was like, which episode? Because I knew Dudley, and I knew Gary Coleman,
Hey.
but where was Day, right? So I had to like go scour the internet. I think I found it eventually. But so all of that's great. What I know about Day though is that your life, this is the way you can describe it for yourself. The Cane, downtown LA. Why? How the fuck did you end up down there? Like, what happened?
Okay, so after Die Hard, things jumped off. We didn't expect it to become that big.
Mm-hmm.
It became
Huge.
So television shows are bidding on me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at that time, when you did film, it was film. Television was, film is.
Yes.
However, they were bidding so much back and forth.
Right.
Regina King on her show, love her, 227, to be her boyfriend, head of the class. They had asked me to do their show a while ago.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, Ego. Oh, that little show with Mike Tyson's wife, Robin Givens, that one.
You were able to pick and choose between certain shows at this point.
They were,
Now you had clout.
yeah,
Hollywood clout.
bidding.
Ego's probably just forming.
And so head of the class, Ego was so big that head of the class was like, I read for network.
Mm-hmm.
I read for the network, and you read like 2 or 3 times for network, the
Mhm.
entire, a lot of people.
Right.
And so they're like, okay, we want him to come on board. And he's going to be a guy from Harlem, and he's going to get a scholarship into the IHP, the
Okay.
honors program.
Yeah.
And his father is going to be a bus driver.
Mm-hmm.
Ego was so big because I had Lee Daniels under my belt.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, so first of all, the money. They kept bidding, and then finally they came in with a strong offer. And I said, Lee, let's go for this.
Mm-hmm.
They came back and said, unfortunately, we'd like to. We're unable to do that because the other cast members are making that much, and it would be a conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
I said, fine, I'll take it. So they gave me what the character was, and I said, mm-mm. He said, what do you mean, uh-uh? I said, no. Basketball? No. Scholarship? No. Privilege to go there? No. He said, so what do you think? Lee said, what do you think? I said, he's an aspiring artist, writer, wants to be a filmmaker, idol, like Spike Lee on that tip,
Mhm.
you know, eccentric kind of, hangs out in the East Village in New York, and his father is a construction worker and his mother is a stewardess.
Mhm.
I said, you tell them I'll do that. And one last thing. What? I want creative control over our wardrobe.
Mhm.
They went for it. They went for it. And so the ego, they
Right.
got bigger and bigger. Dude, I'd walk down Melrose in any store, pick stuff out, and they'd come pick the shit up.
Right.
And so then at that point, I'm partying, hard on weekends, and it started to affect me. People started to see that something was off,
Mhm.
and it was just I'm making a lot of money every week.
Mhm.
And Benz, a Range Rover, all this, and Jag, a house in Hollywood Hills,
Mhm.
3-story house in Hollywood Hills. Madonna lived over there. Rod Stewart lived over there.
Mhm.
People are, Eddie Murphy is on the hill over.
Yeah, my friend actually has that house.
Oh, okay. Used to
Yeah.
be Cher's house.
There's a house that Eddie Murphy had that's now a sober living.
Hmm.
You probably partied in that house during that time.
I'm sure I did.
I'm sure you did.
So, yeah. So it just got crazy.
Hmm.
It just got crazy, and then it went from cocaine to I ran Walter Hill. I always wanted to work with him.
Hmm.
He made Eddie Murphy 48 Hours. I think
Right.
Beverly Hills Cop, Predator. Wanted to work with him.
Hmm.
He grabs me. I go to Atlanta to do Trespass with Ice-T and Ice Cube.
And wasn't your character in Trespass a addict?
Junkie.
You were a junkie.
A junkie. And it scared me because when they did the makeup, I thought of my mother.
Hmm.
Anyway, so moving forward, I went and did that. And people asked me, well, how come I didn't do Die Hard 1 or 2? Or it was happening so fast that I got stuck doing that.
Right.
And then as I'm doing my little bit of cocaine, I'm supposed to go do Cool Runnings for Disney
Hmm.
in Jamaica.
Right.
That got pulled. So then I'm upset about this and my mother, and I'm upset because I didn't get this, and I'm better than this person. And are they in the business period?
Right.
So I started drinking. Long Island iced teas became my favorite. The club scene.
Yes.
Get me on that guest list. Get me on that guest list.
Roxbury.
Oh yeah.
I know you were going there. I was going there.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So then you were drinking heavily,
Yeah.
doing drugs.
Eddie slapped me one night because I was so messed up.
Was it cocaine and alcohol, or did you get into heroin?
No, not yet. Cocaine. It was cocaine.
What do you mean not yet? Did you eventually get into heroin too?
Absolutely.
Were you shooting dope?
Absolutely.
Were you buying it in Skid Row?
Sometimes, because I lived down there.
You lived down in Skid Row.
No. I lived on 7th and Springs. Skid Row wasn't that far.
But were you living down there because you were just a person that was living normally, or you went homeless?
No, I was not ever homeless.
Mhm.
I say that in my shares. I didn't live on the street. I lived in the street, though.
Okay.
I want to clarify that. Thank God, my family, they wouldn't let me live on the street. However, they would tell me, you look like you live on the street.
And how did you look? What was your appearance like?
I'm Portuguese, so I share. You heard me say it. My hair was like long and curly. I was 98 pounds,
Hmm.
and drug addicts, girls, it's like, I wish I was that skinny. So I thought it was sexy,
Mm.
and I've got on soccer cleats, running around.
Soccer cleats.
Yeah,
Why?
I was high across the street from where I lived, and I called it my little spot. It was actually like a motel that was 3 stories,
Mhm.
and you pay by the week. So anyway, those cleats, I go to the store and I see them in the window. They're Pumas.
That's what it came down to. You weren't homeless walking the streets like a zombie, but you were staying in a motel in downtown LA in your addiction
Mhm.
and your alcoholism.
Mhm.
Looked at like Pippi Longstocking, like a
Black Pippi Longstocking.
Black Pippi Longstocking.
From Hollywood Hills to downtown LA. Beverly, Hollywood Hills to downtown LA.
And how old were you?
It was, let's just say it was in 2006.
Okay. And
I'll give you that.
your last movie, Trespass, was what, in the early 2000s or late 1990s?
It was the early 2000s, and I did a couple of jobs after that. By that time, it started to get, after head of the class, they would send me scripts and stuff, and I'd be like, I've been up for 3 days.
You're over it.
I was just like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
This script, it's not right for me.
And the money that you were making through being an actor was kind of helping nurture your addiction,
Mm-hmm.
paying for wherever you were staying.
Mm-hmm.
It came down to that. Why did you get sober? Didn't you attempt to get sober once, but you couldn't stay sober, and then you tried again?
Oh, Lee, everybody wanted to.
Uh-huh.
I went through 8 different treatment centers.
Okay.
And, why did I get sober? Is because my grandparents had died,
Mm-hmm.
and there was an inheritance involved.
Mm-hmm.
When they died, me being the addict that I am, I was like, that's so sad. When I get my money.
You were in your
Selfish.
disease, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so they gave me some of it, and I went through 130 grand in 2 or 3 months because I go live in hotels
and doing drugs.
Yeah, I would live in hotels.
Okay.
I love that. The room service clean up my shit.
Yes.
I go to. So it was just a spiral, and it got worse and worse and worse. And I'm still running on pain and ego.
Mm-hmm.
My dad. I'm with my dad now,
Mm-hmm.
and my brothers. My brother's an accountant,
Right.
and so they're like they're attempting to help me the best I can. And I'm running to my dad's. All he was doing was wanting to make up time
Mm-hmm.
with me, and because my mother wasn't in the picture anymore.
Right.
That's all he was doing. The man did not ever say no to me.
Mm.
I think once. He was an active alcoholic, and what I'm getting at is that he was looking at me because I'd go. He had owned printing shops,
Right.
so I would go in. I'm 98 pounds, dark circles, this, and then I've got I remember having like a couple of sores on my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always go in there and get the peroxide
Mm-hmm.
to do that. Because they broke it down where I would get $100 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God for my grandparents. They give me $100 a day. Dude, I was back there by 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? He wouldn't say no, and he'd just be like, so he looked at me, he looked at my brothers one day, because I go in my dad's, in the back in the office, there was a bar,
Mm-hmm.
like a refrigerator.
Yeah.
So I have this I have this old, I forgot where I found it. It was real though. This old like Louis Vuitton purse, and I made it into my own satchel.
Yeah.
And so I could put stuff in there,
Sure.
my rigs and my dope. And so I would take my dad's like beers and put as many as I could in there.
Yeah.
And so he just looked at me, dude, and he said, one day, he said, come here. And I went in the back, and he said, call my brothers. He said, look at my son. He's going to be dead like any minute. My brothers are like the mean ones, like, I'm surprised he's not dead already.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we were waiting to get a phone call
Right.
that you were dead. So then my brother found a rehab, and they said, okay, so you're going to this place. They're going to take you at 3 o'clock. So you're going to this place called Yellowstone. So I went, the park? You mean Boo Boo Bear and Yogi? I'm so delusional.
Right.
I'm like, it's going to be fun. And I can have everything back again.
Mm-hmm.
I was so tore up when I got there.
So they sent you there?
Yeah.
You went to Yellowstone?
Yeah. Oh,
Wait a minute. You know Honey?
Yes.
You're a product of Yellowstone?
For a very short time.
Okay.
I was there, and unfortunately, I'm glad this happened. I had no meds, nothing. I'm coming off of methadone,
At
heroin.
Yellowstone?
No. I'm coming off of
You were coming off of methadone.
all these
That's
methadone,
not good.
Clonopin,
Yeah.
heroin,
Because they
smoking.
weren't providing no comfort meds back then.
They didn't at all. I'm saying this is what I was coming off of.
Sure.
And so, Clonopin, a lot of booze, all these things, no meds, no meds. And I was like, they would barely give me an aspirin.
Yes.
And
So how long were you there?
oh, I did how how we manipulate.
Yes.
I called my father. I said, you got to get me out of here. He goes, well, you agreed to stay 90.
Mm-hmm.
My family said I couldn't get any more money until I stayed at least 90 days.
How long did you stay?
Barely 60 days.
That's not that bad, but okay.
Ugh,
And where did you go?
I manipulated.
Where did you go?
Thank you, Richard Perlin.
Did you go back? Did you go back to LA?
Oh.
You stayed in Orange County.
Oh, yeah. Because
Okay.
my other side of the family was like, your grandparents wanted you to be okay. We'll give you an apartment, get you a car. You just need to stop.
They got you that stuff in Orange
They
County?
offered me that to come home
Oh,
to
back home.
LA, give you a car, give you a place to stay, if you just stop.
Okay, so what happened?
I wasn't ready.
So did you relapse in Orange County?
Oh, yeah, a few times.
Okay, and then at this point, it took you a little while to get back in, but then you came back in. What did you go to treatment again?
7 times.
7 in Orange County?
Not in Orange County. Orange County, it was 2 or 3.
Okay, so you did get sober finally and stayed sober in Orange County.
Finally.
Okay, after 7 times, what happened that you decided that's it, I'm done?
Okay, I came in when I met you,
Yes.
and I was like, he's cool.
Were you in treatment at that time?
No, I had gotten out of treatment,
Okay.
and then I saw you
Yes.
at the meeting.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I was like, that cat's he's doing it. You're with your dad,
I would bring my dad sometimes, yes.
and I was like, that cat's cool.
Mhm.
He's cool. He's doing it, and he seems like he's into it.
I am still.
Oh yeah, and so you were doing your thing. I wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't ready. I needed to go and do a little bit more chemistry in the lab,
Mm-hmm.
per se. And I just kept going. And then I kept attempting to do this thing,
Right.
And so what happened was, since I met you, I had died literally, which you're aware of, 7 times.
Okay.
Flatlined at Hogue.
Hogue Hospital,
At
Newport
Hogue
Beach.
Hospital.
Okay.
7 times back. I knew the ambulance guys' names by heart, all that.
The
And
whole
s-
chemical dependency unit knew you first name basis.
I wasn't in their chemical dependency.
Oh,
I
ER.
started having seizures
Uh-huh.
from the drugs and the alcohol
Mm-hmm.
and the meds. I didn't understand that Seroquel and heroin are lethal
Hmm.
together. I didn't care. An addict. So I decided the 7th time that I woke up at Hogue, and one of the ambulance guys was standing there, and I go, Mike, where are my cigarettes? And he just looked down, bro. And his eyes were kind of watering. I said, what's wrong with you? I'm alive. He goes, Dad, that movie Die Hard, me and my son, it makes him so happy. We watch that every year. And you're not going to be around very long, and it's just so sad. He walked out. So then I died again, and I woke up. And you've heard me tell you this. I'm like, oh God, human beings again. Shit. You took my mother. You won't take me. And my life is shit. this is effed up. This is really messed up. And then something went boom. Maybe I'm supposed to do something other than day.
Hmm.
And I said, help somebody. Help somebody do what? Cop? Help somebody get high? Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Something's like, I want you to represent everything that is the opposite of day. I said, honesty? I learned how to lie
Mm-hmm.
when my mother died. Forget that one. Accountability. I'm not paying anybody back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pay rent for an apartment. I've already got 5 notices already.
Right.
F them. I deserve this. All of that. And I said, maybe you're supposed to help somebody else. And then I realized, moment of clarity, thank you, God. That point, I went, wait, there's somebody other than Day. There's people that need help.
Right.
Oh, I didn't ever think of it like that. I just want another movie or some more, a Long Island iced tea.
Right. And in knowing you over all these years, you've humbled yourself so much to the point where it's evident, not just by what you say, but by the way you carry yourself, who you are, what you represent, that your recovery comes before anything. And it's the most important thing for you in your life. I see you as a man of service, and you don't need to go around and talk about it. It's just known. It's known because of the people that you work with. You have a certain way of helping people that will let you help them
Thank you.
in rewiring and reprogramming their thought process and their conditioned ways of being. And I believe that comes from good mentorship. I watch my words. Good people that came before us. We were talking about this the other day. We happened to be in rooms back in the day where there was some old timers that they were well known in that particular area where we got sober, that they talk the talk and they walk the walk. You know, they've demonstrated what it really means to be sober. And so what an honor and a privilege to have made a friendship with you in the beginning of my recovery, because I was only a year sober, but I was on fire for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still on fire for this thing. I mean, I wouldn't have a recovery podcast.
You're just flaming.
I know, I'm flaming like crazy. I'm on fire. Douse me. But, you know, I believe that, you know, we have been rebirthed. It's nice to see you still on the path. There's some people that come and go, and then
some people stay and grow.
That's right. And that was the topic of today's podcast, is because we're staying, we're growing, we're always growing. With all the ups and downs that life will pitch at us, we stay sober. And we get to, you know, walk amongst so many people that get put in our paths, and we're shoulder to shoulder in this process. And it never fails, you know, that God always puts people in our path that we think we're helping them. But the reality of it is that they're helping us.
And thank you.
And thank you. You know, I know we're not supposed to talk about certain things coming up, but there's some exciting things that you're working on. I won't even say what they are. I don't think that we need to say what they are, because when they happen, they happen. Mm-hmm. Right? I love our friendship. You know, I love that you were open to being on here and talking so openly, because there's a lot of people that are celebrities or have been celebrities in their past and want to be secretive about their addiction problems or their alcoholism. I love transparency. I love that when you actually talk about this stuff, you give people hope. You let people know that when it comes to the disease of addiction or alcoholism, it does not discriminate. It doesn't care if you're from the Hollywood Hills or from the hood. It does not matter. The shit, and especially in this day and age, what we're seeing more and more, we see so many people like coming in doing the types of drugs that are 1,000 times more powerful than what we were doing before. That's putting them down
God.
and killing them. Right? You could put down a woolly mammoth. That's like how strong this stuff is that's out there. So, with that said, I want to thank you for coming on Peggy's Recovery
Thank
Corner.
you.
What an honor and privilege to have a friend like you.
You too, my man.
I love you very much.
I love you too. And just one thing,
Sure.
um, I don't tell people how to run their lives. I've shared this before. I only have my own experience, and I can say what a wonderful experience this is. And if we think that it's not going to work, or we're unique, or we're different, I just share with you the 12 steps for me.
Mm.
My mother died of an overdose. I didn't think anybody, that was just me. Nobody understands.
Mm-hmm.
The 12 steps I took, and I lived 12 steps. And I just encourage, if you're struggling, to take those 12 steps with someone that has taken the 12 steps.
Love it.
Big love and peace. Thank you, Paige.
Have a good day, everybody. Thanks for tuning on in. Bye.